My name is Jean Lightman. I'm a painter in the Boston school tradition, which combines the academic drawing and design of the 19th century French and German academies with the color and the light of the French Impressionists. I work predominantly in oil. I do a lot of still life painting, and, but also landscape painting in the summertime, and some portraits as well. I like all three. If it has to do with light and shadow, I'm excited. And color, that gets me going. I don't know that I really knew as a child, like so many people do, that I was going to be an artist. I grew up in a family of, both my grandmothers painted, sort of as, late in life. And I painted a little bit with, I particularly remember painting with one of my grandmothers. But it wasn't really until college, I went off to college, and I started painting people's faces, drawing people's faces, not painting. And it was during the Watergate hearings, and I used to sit during the Watergate hearings and watch the hearings and sketch Time magazine covers and draw. I still have a drawing of John Dean and some of the other people who testified at the Watergate hearings. And I was pretty good. I could get a pretty good likeness then. I guess when I was a kid, I used to copy cartoons a lot. So that was my first foray into the art world. And after college, I went off to graduate school in something very different, city and regional planning. And I got a master's degree, and I started working in that. But I loved drawing and painting, and I thought it was something you did as a hobby. And I used to take evening classes actually first at Cambridge Adult Ed and then at De Cordova Museum, and weekend workshops, and always in portrait painting, because I loved doing that. And then I found out about Paul Ingebrigtsen, who was teaching painting the way it had been taught in the in the 19th century European academies. And I was intrigued, and I started studying with him, and that was it. I spent 10 years working with Paul. Again, as I love history, the Boston school tradition just spoke to me. I love traditional painting, and I love the world of color and light, and that's what Boston school emphasizes, so it was a perfect match for me. I was invited to join the Guild in, I think it was 1989. It was a tremendous honor. I remember how overjoyed I was to be asked to join. And for a long time, I think I didn't show much because it had to be the absolute best quality that I could produce. And I still feel that way. I feel like the Guild it's an honor to be a member. And it's a place where I want to show my very best work. The Guild, for me, combines several different things that I am passionate about. One is history. I've always loved history. The Guild is a 100-year-old institution founded by some of the finest painters in Boston in 1914. So it combines history with art, and art is a huge passion in my life. So for me, the Guild is just the best of those worlds, and it's a tremendous honor to be a part of the Guild. The way that I work is I'm looking area by area at the arrangement, and I'm painting areas of lights and shadows that that intersect, that work, that relate to one another in a painterly arrangement. So what that means is I might paint, say, the bottom of the vase and how it relates, the bottom edge relates to the tabletop, and maybe the top of the vase and how that intersects with some, maybe the corner or the edge of some flowers. So I move area by area around my setup, around my subject. And then what happens is I'll come in inevitably to the studio in the morning, and I'll say, well, gee, I've got everything placed in here fairly well. It's working well. The lights and the shadows, the values are pretty good. The color combinations are working well. But it doesn't have the magic of the original concept of the arrangement that I've set up. And then I realize I have to pull back because it's something bigger. I'm not copying what's in front of me. It's something more than just a copy of nature. It's really capturing that essence of nature that's, you can't even put into words. It's something that grabbed me. That spoke to me originally and why I decided to paint the subject. But if it's not coming through in the finished painting, then I haven't succeeded, even if I've painted everything in front of me. So often I'll have to pull back and realize that maybe I looked into one area a little too much and I needed to pull back and maybe even lose something that I've painted, maybe paint something a little less defined. It's hard to say exactly what it is, and it's not something that I can recognize right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. Sometimes I use a mirror and I look upside down in the mirror so everything reverses and I blur my eyes. So I just see the biggest transitions of lights and shadows and the biggest relationships of my colors. And then I'll see it. Something will just click and I'll go, oh yeah, I need to maybe adjust the blue notes, or it's something I can't even say what it is, and it's never the same thing. But in the end, I want that painting to have the magic, the beauty, the subtlety of what attracted me in the first place. And that's what I'm going for. When I paint, I want people to connect with nature. I want my paintings to be a connection with the beauty of nature and the natural world. We live in a fast-paced, highly technical world now. And I think a lot of people don't take time to appreciate what nature offers up. There's so many, caricatures of nature. But when do people really stop and look at the natural world and really appreciate nature for what it is? I think a lot of people get out and hike, or they have some way that they connect with nature. And I want my art, to be one of those ways. I want people to look at my paintings and have a moment of reflection and a moment of really a spiritual connection to something that they can relate to. So the painting process is so interesting. For me, I love arranging the still life. That's a lot of fun because then you get to play. You're like the master magician. You can make something disappear, go away, put it together. And then I also love the start. You can be very loose in the start. You're trying to go for the most essential, the biggest lights and the biggest shadows and the biggest color relationships. And it's fun to kind of make it all, this mush of paint kind of all work and sort of you're bringing this melange out of fog. So you're slowly making things appear. The lights and the shadows, you're slowly making them appear as big abstract shapes. And that's a lot of fun. My work has changed over the years, I would say, really in an attempt to paint more loosely, not to be so specific and exact about what I'm saying. And that's a big challenge. I would say my work over the years has improved at being able to do that, but it's still that goal out there because I'm never completely satisfied. I always feel like nature presents us with the most magnificent beauty, and to try and capture that in paint is an hopeless task because you can't. You can't capture all the beauty of nature in front of you on a canvas, on a two-dimensional canvas with paint. You can't paint with the sun. All you can paint with is the whites and the yellows and the brilliant reds that you think are so gorgeous in the tube, but when you mix them together and you put them down on the canvas and you think, my goodness, this isn't the light. This is paint. So you're trying to continually make your painting look like it's glowing with light. And that's really the challenge that for me is always a little farther. It's like the carrot on the stick. It's just a little further than what I can do. So I just keep reaching for it each time, and my paintings get a little better and a little better. And still, I just keep wanting that. I want that essence of nature, that just momentary vibrancy that nature gives us. Those glimpses, those moments that just fill us with awe.